The Roberts family is one of the most impressive living dynasties that Hollywood has to offer, but with that comes a shady side too. We'll take a look at bad relationships, run-ins with the law, and behavior that annoyed Steven Spielberg as we examine the Roberts family. The real apex of the shady side of the Roberts family can be traced back to 1993, when Eric Roberts was embroiled in a tough custody battle against ex-partner Kelly Cunningham for 2-year-old daughter Emma. As News and Record reported, the actor had served Cunningham with papers to have her appear in court. However, his ex-partner couldn't afford her own lawyer. Enter Eric's sister, Julia Roberts, who fronted the money so that Cunningham could get one. Understandably, the move didn't sit well with Eric, who confirmed to Vanity Fair that his history with drugs had alienated his sister and messed with their relationship. Subsequently, the two spent years estranged from each other, though he downplayed the disagreement during the interview. A little over 10 years later, the two had apparently patched up their problems. Julia gave birth to twins, and Eric was graciously welcomed back into the fold to celebrate their arrival, telling Vanity Fair, "I was ushered into their room and was immediately awash in brotherly and unclely love." With one tender moment, the siblings had managed to let bygones be bygones. It's understandable that Julia Roberts reportedly lost the energy to deal with her brother's addiction issues, given their severity and chronic history. Eric Roberts was in a catastrophic car accident in 1981, which he confessed to Vanity Fair happened because he was on cocaine at the time. The car accident left him in a coma for 3 days.
I come out of the coma for about 4 days, and I cannot feel the whole right side of my body.
In 1987, his drug use became so grave that he was eventually arrested. As reported by UPI, after incidents where he harassed a woman and a run-in with a cop, Hollywood's most prolific B-movie star was charged with numerous crimes, including assault, trespassing, and possession of both cocaine and marijuana. Sadly, his dealings with the law didn't end there. In 1995, he was arrested on suspicion of spousal abuse after he allegedly pushed his wife Eliza into a wall, according to police officers. Speaking about the incident a year later, both Eric and Eliza, who remain together to this day, denied that he'd inflicted any physical abuse against her during an interview with SFGate. On the contrary, the actor's version of events suggests that he'd had a heated phone call with his agent and subsequently stormed off in his car after yelling at his wife. By the time he returned home, Eliza had already called for help. As Eric explained it, she had dialed 911 to say, "My husband needs to be stopped." Eric Roberts' well-documented struggles with addiction led him to the inevitable spiritual landfill of Celebrity Rehab in 2010. As his wife and manager Eliza expressed to Vanity Fair, they were well aware of how, quote, "these shows are sanctioned voyeurism, but did it anyway. It paid off." Casting agents began to look at him more following his appearance, with Eliza saying, "Some of the best shows he's done since Celebrity Rehab." It probably helped that Eric confessed to having generated some additional drama on the show for publicity. The Stalked by My Doctor star made the admission while chatting with the hosts of the charmingly titled podcast, Eric Roberts is the Man. Roberts was there to conquer his dependency on marijuana, amidst a cast of contestants who were dealing with opium addictions. Comparatively, his struggle was mild, and it didn't make for great TV, as he quipped, "Me, marijuana, I'm fine, I have a headache." Producers subsequently called Eliza to complain that while everyone else had emotional episodes, Eric had not cracked. Under threat of being ejected for being a bore, the actor stepped up the drama by faking some tears and having some serious and inappropriate words with former supermodel Janice Dickinson. Given the overall drama of the Roberts dynasty, you might think that Eric Roberts would be a little more thoughtful about how he phrases things in public about his famous kin, but apparently not. When chatting to Vanity Fair about how happy he was to be back in the good graces of his family, he made the mistake of crediting the incredible careers of his sister and daughter to himself, bragging to the magazine, "If it wasn't for me, there would be no Julia Roberts and no Emma Roberts as celebrities, as actresses, and I'm very proud of that." Explaining how he'd set Julia up to get signed when she came to New York, the star reflected that he was also, quote, first by a long shot in terms of making it big and receiving Golden Globe and Academy Award nominations. Apparently, his success was necessary for Julia's, even if she left him in the dust by the early 90s. What he did for Emma, however, is anyone's guess. What we do know is that his daughter told Allure that she credited her Auntie Julia as being the real reason she entered the business. The Scream 4 star recalled how she was captivated watching her aunt work on the set of Erin Brockovich, so much so that she didn't want to leave, explaining, "I remember it feeling like summer camp, just the feeling of creativity."
Yeah, you would have to drag me off set. Like, I would go and visit, and my mom would be like, "Aren't you bored? Don't you want to leave?" I'm like, "No, I'm working in hair and makeup now."
Though her career was thriving, Emma Roberts sadly also had her own personal troubles to deal with. In 2013, Emma Roberts was arrested after a violent altercation between herself and boyfriend Evan Peters. TMZ reported that the incident took place in the couple's hotel room in Montreal, with Peters allegedly displaying injuries afterward. Emma was released just hours later when boyfriend Evan didn't want to press charges. Furthermore, a source confirmed to Us Weekly that the couple remained on solid ground and that they wouldn't break up after the incident. Regardless, the encounter became instant bait for tabloid gossip. Luckily for Emma, her father was a man with his own tabloid experience, and Eric Roberts leaped to his daughter's defense, telling TMZ, "Here's the thing about couples. Unless you're one of those people, you do not know what happened. It's their business. They're grown-ups." The relationship between Emma Roberts and Evan Peters remained on and off for years. The two started dating in 2012, got engaged in 2014, and had reportedly ended their engagement by 2015. Just a year later, the two were apparently giving each other a second chance, with Us Weekly reporting that they were dating once again. It's unclear what their relationship status was a year later, when tabloids began to speculate that Roberts had caused the breakup between Hayden Christensen and the OC alum Rachel Bilson. According to Us Weekly, Bilson reportedly found text messages between her beau and his Little Italy co-star, which led her to conclude that there was something going on between them. As Perez Hilton questioned the timing of Roberts' alleged involvement with Christensen, it's unknown whether she and Peters were together during all this. Whatever the case, following their split, speculation was rife that the two didn't exactly have the healthiest or most stable of relationships. Alleged domestic dispute and affair rumors aside, there were further rumblings that Emma Roberts and Evan Peters' relationship was unstable, to such a degree they were rumored to be difficult to work with. In 2015, OK published a report from an American Horror Story on-set source, who alleged that the couple was a distraction, with their conspicuous cycle of fighting and making up. The source alleged to the publication, "As soon as the director yells cut, Emma and Evan are making out. That is, if they're not screaming at each other." Their relationship might have had a sour impact on set, and Peters notoriously left the hit show not long after his breakup with Roberts, despite being a fan favorite of the cast core stars. The actor confirmed he was to skip his first season of the horror anthology in the 9 years since the show began. Peters wound up sitting out 2 subsequent seasons of the show, both of which happened to star his ex. Skip ahead to 2020, and the roles were reversed. While Peters confirmed he was set to return to American Horror Story for double feature, Roberts was now due to sit this one out. Julia Roberts suggested she was anything but America's sweetheart when she generated headlines for her relationship with married cinematographer Danny Moder in 2000. The two met on the set of the critically panned crime drama The Mexican, and had reportedly shacked up together 6 months later, much to the understandable chagrin of Moder's wife, Vera Steinberg, who MSN reported was reluctant to give her blessing to a divorce. Julia's answer? She wore a t-shirt bearing the brazen handmade slogan, "Alo Vera," in reference to her beau's wife, and rocked it in the middle of Beverly Hills in prime sight of paparazzi. However, Julia told Oprah that she didn't cause the breakup of her partner's marriage, and shared that the intent of her fashion statement was not something she regretted. Over time, the Pretty Woman star must have reflected on her prior behavior, as she told Harper's Bazaar that she was, quote, "a selfish little brat back then." More importantly, the couple remained together, at least at the time of this video's release, and have been married since 2002. In 1991, tabloids threw every column inch they had to spare into the mysterious fallout of Hollywood's most beloved couple at the time, Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts. The Mystic Pizza superstar had left her the Lost Boys' husband-to-be just days before their wedding. And shadier still, she appeared to have left him for Sutherland's friend and the Lost Boys co-star Jason Patric. People reported that the couple had been experiencing problems in the lead-up to the wedding, with Sutherland's penchant for heavy drinking and an alleged dalliance with a go-go dancer being at the heart of industry gossip. Meanwhile, Roberts and Patrick were said to have gone to Dublin together. Finally, a source suggested to people that Sutherland found out that his relationship was over from a mutual friend over the phone. It was the end of a love affair, sure, but it was also the end of a friendship, something that Patrick and Sutherland reflected on and apparently mended 30 years later via the podcast Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Sutherland joked that he was more cut up about losing his pal than he was his wife-to-be. Patrick, meanwhile, offered a heartwarming appraisal of what survived the drama, his and Kiefer's friendship. According to speculation at the time, the tabloid chronicled love triangle between Sutherland and Patrick also impacted Julia Roberts' work. The star had just started filming Steven Spielberg's Hook when her romantic life publicly imploded, and the legendary filmmaker was not impressed with her subsequent work ethic or attitude. A Premiere Magazine report about the film's production described Roberts as being allegedly so difficult to work with that the star was dubbed Tinker Hell by the crew. Discussing Roberts on 60 Minutes, Spielberg mused that the actor was going through a tough time and that it was not a great moment in time for the two to work together. When asked if he'd work with her again, the director hinted that he would not.
Would you have any hesitation about working with her again?
This is a 60 Minutes question, isn't it?
Understandably, Roberts wasn't too thrilled to discover that she'd earned herself the unflattering nickname on set, and also defended her behavior, telling Entertainment Weekly, "I have normal frustrations like everybody else, but I don't consider myself temperamental." Worse still, she was horrified by Spielberg's comments about her on 60 Minutes, and shared her sense of betrayal to Vanity Fair, saying, "I couldn't believe that this person that I knew and trusted was actually hesitating to come to my defense." Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite family acting dynasties are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.